shall come when the right of his people, that this man was born in earth. In Ethiopia this man was born. We want to go to Zion. Oh yeah, we are to Zion. For the truth shall spring from out of the earth, and righteousness will come from Zion. For his mercy and truth will kiss each other. The joy of the earth is Mount Zion. The beauty of the earth is Mount Zion. Yeah. Lord, the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. For glorious things are spoken of him, O mighty city of Jah, O mighty city of Jah. I will mention thy name, the Rastafari, Babylon and them that know I. For the day shall come when the right of his people, that this man was born in earth. In Ethiopia this man was born. The gates of Zion, child of delight. He would never, 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 never own Babylon.
have nowhere to lie. Pray.
Now, here comes the music.
And justice, what does it mean? I've heard it before, but it's yet to be seen. I'm too strong to give up, too weak to fight, too black to be heard, too poor to be right. Till there's justice, there will be no peace. Until there is freedom, the wars will never cease. The leaders won't listen to my concern. At the sound of the trumpet, the table's gonna turn. Sounds of freedom, sounds of freedom, sounds of freedom. We've had demonstrations that fall on their fields, wrote out petitions, but nobody cares. Fires will keep burning till every man is free. We'll get our freedom by any means necessary. Cause I plant the seed and I till the soil. Another man come and run away with the spoil. We live in the slums, fighting for crumbs that fall by mistake from the rich man's plate. Equality and justice, what does it mean? I've heard it before, but it's yet to be seen. I'm too strong to give up, I'm too weak to fight, too black to be heard, too poor to be right. Till there's justice, there will be no peace. Until there is freedom, the wars will never cease. The leaders won't listen to my concern. At the sound of the trumpet, the table's gonna turn. Until there is justice, there will be no peace. Until there is freedom, the wars will never cease. The leaders won't listen to my concern. At the sound of the trumpet, the table's gonna turn. The table's gonna turn.
Wah, 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 wah. Oh, moaning, moaning for my people, yeah. Man must bank these money men who pay I and I to fight I brethrens. Just because I did hunger, them whole I with them dancer. Penetrate man with them dancer. And no man I grow with like a brother would shoot I for nothing other than blood money, blood dancer, yeah. Blood money, blood dancer. Oh, they shall be lightning and thunder for the heathens who take advantage of sufferer to gain their vanity of power. They shall reach their final hour. They will be cut off forever, yeah. Wah, 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 wah. Oh, moaning, moaning for my people. Wah, 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 wah. Oh, moaning, moaning for my people, yeah. Doobie, doobie, doobie. Brethrens, rot no more. Let's unite in these troublous times. Bank the money men, bank the oppressor. Let Jah Spirit give guidance eternally. Let the money men be the sufferer. Then man I grow with like a brother. We'll never shoot eye for them. No, them blood money, blood dancer. I and I know I know blood money, blood dancer. No, wah 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 wah. No more money, no more money for my people. No, wah 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 wah. I no money, no more money for my people. I don't want to more, no more, no more. We don't want no blood money, no, no blood money, no.
Here comes the judge, hear ye him. Oh yeah, God save the African king. Anyone have anything to say before this just judge? Come say it now and say it like you're glad, and not like you're mad. For this judge have no mercy in this time.
Court's in session, silence in the court. The court's in session, silence in the court. The court's in session, silence
Drake.
Yes, my lord.
Bartholomew de las Casas.
Your Honor.
Vasco da Gama.
Present Majesty.
Alexander so-called the Great.
I am here, sir. I am here.
John Hannon.
Sir.
James Grant.
Your Honor.
David Livingstone.
Yes, President Marana,
John
President.
Constantine.
Yes, sir.
Henry Martin. Arthur Polo. Now say after me. I solemnly swear that the evidence I shall give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Silence in the court. The court's in session. 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 Silence in the court. The court's in session.
Your Honor.
You're all brought here and count one. Robbing and raping Africa. Anthem. Two. Stealing black people out of Africa. Three. Brainwashing black people. Four. Holding black people in captive for more than 300 years. Five. Killing over 50 million black people without a cause. Six. Teaching black people to hate themselves. Anthem.
Execution, Your Honor.
Anthem.
Court's in session. Silence in the court. The court's in session. Silence in the court.
If any of you have anything to say before this execution,
Court's in
say it quick,
silence in the court.
say it glad.
Silence in the
This judge is getting impatient.
Your Honor, it's only...
Anthem.
Your Honor, it's only 10
No mercy. Penalty for all this.
court's in session.
Each of you must be hung by the tongue.
But Your Honor, we've been forced.
Anthem.
Silence in the court.
No appeal will be accepted.
Silence in the court. The court's in session. Silence in the court. The court's in session. Silence in the court. The court's in session.
Court adjourned.
Never you cheat, no backbite. Put a stop to fuss and fight. Let us keep upright and walk the path that is right. And your name will be written in the book of life. Watch every step you make. You surely can't afford to make a mistake. Then let Jah in your heart and show away your evil talk. Love your brother as yourself, and your name will be written in the book of life. Jah Rastafari, I so do the right and not the wrong, and Jah will give you an empty hand. living. And as the earth now burn in the country, I say the wicked be burned. And as I give thanks and praise to Lord God Jah, and say the wicked are quake, yeah. Cause all the weak are feeling. Cause every day you take a step is just a weak are falling. You hear Jah calling. Instead of come Ethiopian, chat it out of Babylon. Kichad Mount Zion, till love Rastafari, it's my soul shall die. Cause Jah is love, I say that Jah is love, I say that Jah is divine power. Jah keep you loving every hour. Jah keep you rocking at the tower until I know. Jah, 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 I, Jah, 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 Selassie, the kings of kings and the lords of lords. I say the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. Lift up himself, light of the world, as I would say. And then the king of kings, let him leave it forever. Seated in his throne in Addis Ababa, I would say. No seated right up in a Zion every day. Loving at the jail, love a Rastafari. 18 and you surely shall die, not to till you don't lie. Jaraka style on ya, and keep you rocking and a sing and make you down the tenor rolling it. In a holy Mount Zion, the conquering lion, Lord God the Rastafari, highly I Selassie. I elect of himself, Prince of Peace and Light of the world, I would say. You know the King of Kings, singing of the thunder line, singing of a lightning eye, singing of a dreadful eye, I Selassie.
Things that come up to bound. Things that come up to bound. Well. Wicked man I feel it. Well, word, power and sound. Rasta man I chant wicked Babylon down. Again then, with word, power and sound. Again, I chant wicked Babylon down. The wicked have we feel it. Yes, the wicked have we feel it. Where is the story that has never been told? Here is the truth that they've already told. Rastafari chanting cause we have to reveal. And I come, I guess, to bust up the sea. You see the children by the wayside. They are my treat us as if we are nothing. But with righteousness we will rise. Things that come up to bump. Things that come up to bump. Well. Wicked man I feel it. Well, word, power and sound. Rasta man I chant wicked Babylon down. Again then, with word, power and sound. Again I chant wicked Babylon down. The wicked have we feel it. Yes, the wicked have we feel it. Well, where is the story that has never been told? Here is the truth that they've always been told. Rastafari chanting 'cause we have to reveal. And I come against to bust up the sea. You see the children by the wayside, they are my joy and pride. Build up their faith, tell them Jah will guide them. Keep the loving inside. And then with word, power and sound, then we would be shaking Babylon down. Again then, with word, power and sound. Again my brother, well done. Babylon must go down. The wicked have we feel it. Yes, when Rastaman a teach it. Well, the wicked have we feel it. Well, when Rastaman reveal it. Well, where is the love that you promised to give? Where is the life that you said we would live? We've worked so hard to build your system. Still you treat us as if we are nothing. But with righteousness we will rise and give Babylon surprise. 'Cause with word, power and sound, yeah. Shake Babylon down. Shake them asunder. Cast away the cards from us. Lick them with fire. The wicked have we feel it. Yes, when Rastaman reveal it. Well, the wicked have we feel it. Well, when Jaja come reveal it. Well, hey. With word, power and sound, I shaking Babylon down. Again then, with word, power and sound, and man come to shake wicked Babylon down. Again, with word, power and sound. Hey, wicked Babylon down. Like Jericho wall, Babylon must fall. When them my children of Israel call. Like Jericho wall, Babylon must fall. When them my children of Israel call.
Yes. Greetings, we there with you. Yes. Yeah, greetings, we there with you. We start with the Mighty Diamonds. Yeah, man. Livell Thompson. Yes. Mighty Burning Spear. Pablo Love. Yes. Pablo Black. Yeah, Ross Michael. Yeah. Junior Delgado. Yeah, man. Pablo Moses. Peter Tosh. And my brethren Hugh Mandel. And Mr. Luciana. Reflection. Go on, good day. Yeah, man. I hope say you pay attention. You see it there. So, when I look upon America now, we see that in Minnesota, yeah, the court now don't have nothing but to find this man, these officers, them guilty, and that's it. Dash the book at them, dash them away, and change the mentality, help change the mentality of policing. Yeah. It is reported that them find that them have more evidence, more substantial evidence where George, Mr. Floyd, were telling the officers, you know, that he's not a bad guy, you know, and he might cooperate with them and so forth, you see? And them still rustle him into the squad car, and then later have him down on the floor. So you know, say, everyone I saw them taking this man into their vehicle and then out of the vehicle and then to the side of the wall and then back to the thing. And then another set of police come and the said one that was on him, was part of the tree that was on him come in this other group. So the camera show all of these things that we have seen, but the police cameras and the recording of the cameras to hear George speaking, then the rest is up to where he was on the floor and he's asking, he's motionless as we saw, and then he's asking for some aid and support, to which he received none. And he was restrained because him had on handcuffs, his arms are behind his back. And these are things that happen. So with the footage that the world have seen, but now these recent footage from the police on-body cameras, you know, recordings, only put more weight upon the thing. So if anybody was in doubt, they would have said that maybe the recordings that was done by that individual were doctored, etc., is not reliable and so forth. It cannot be said. It cannot even be attempting to be said. What needs to be looked upon is the mannerisms and the attitude, the hostility, the whole gravity of the action, the actions that took place. You see? And it don't need interpretation or reinterpreting. It needs to be analyzed, not scrutinized, and questioned. What were you doing? What were you all responding to? And what duties were you carrying out? This is it. These are questions. These are the questions. Not that we had to restrain because the person was offensive and wasn't cooperating. That can't happen. Cannot. Not that the person was armed and dangerous. That can't happen. Cannot. We felt threatened. That can't happen either. So these are things that we have to look at and recognize that the world saw all of that, but them usually hear say that we remonstrate and do all kind of thing. And that's why them had to use different strategies and forces and force, because them can use those things and justify they applying force and treating us harshly because of those things. And every police or law enforcement persons, they write these things up. They write these things up. So automatically, we're assessed that this is the way we are. And this is the natural response that you'll get from African people, black people. See? Stereotyping. Not just generalizing blankly, but it's institutionalized and accepted. And that's why I say here that some of the training individuals that come from the Caribbean and come to England and help with police training also are guilty, because them help these people to make us a special case and to say that these are moves, these are things you have to watch out for, when that's part of us. What is that? How we demonstrate and orchestrate ourselves with our hands, with our arms. Different people remonstrate and do things differently, different cultures. And not one of them can be classified to be angelic. And some don't communicate. Period. And with us, if we don't communicate, we're still ill-treated. And we're pushed around because they want a reaction, so that they can do what they would proclaim as legal damage to us. And in George's case, it was just illegal. They don't have an inch or leg or finger to stand on to say, well, this is what had to happen. Because we saw the leading up to, the duration of, the swings and roundabout from the vehicle crossing to the pavement, sitting down next on the wall, and then being picked up, and then escorted, and then finish up on the floor. We saw all of that. So this is the latest news, you know. Yesterday, to be precise, in Minneapolis. And the demonstrators, you know, the real people are still there, are still in attendance, and still showing their moral and ethical support, seeking some justice in relation to racism and the institutions that employs and administer these police. Not the police just in Minnesota, you know. Police across the U.S. You know how damaging that is? A country that tells everyone else that they breach human rights. A country that wants to look at everybody else and deem them to be rogues, and deem the governments to be barbaric regimes, and them need to make changes needs to be made, and they are the ones that is going to bring about these changes by hook or crook. This is the country that the world has been celebrating for years and years and years and years. This is the same country that Martin Luther King spent his journey trying to mentally reform, to aid and support black people. But then it finished up as in helping all people. And he crossed a threshold of getting involved in the top political arena, and making it known that this warmongering was not justified, and the amount of money that has been sought after and spent on such things, when they among them, there's so much imbalances within the society. Someone said, to hell with this Negro. Cannot be saying these things. And he was out of there. That's what happened. And then there were those who were riding the back of that, and they became successful all the way up to the Senate and all the way into Palestine. And every year, financial credits and benefits. And the peoples who are the children of the slaves have not been allowed by law or constitution to experience the real benefits of the Spangled Banner. And yet still them sing it. Hey, African Americans are strange people, you know. Because there's so much of them for and very few against. And there's so much of them allegedly understanding. There's so few of them understanding, and there's a high volume who understands that the Constitution doesn't, and the government administration doesn't see them as part of the citizen. But yet still they do nothing. And those who have great wealth, not the individual ones, they have corporations that have great wealth, don't try to do something for a multitude. Them do something for themselves, naturally. Nothing wrong with that. But it's only until such tragedies touches their threshold or have some relevancies, as in some acquaintance, that they show a willingness to say the way this system is run is wrong, it's not balanced. And for what my parents and my grandparents have done by force, and after that, within this country, we deserve more. You don't hear them type of song. And that's why it's strange when you but think of them, which is thinking of us at the same time. But we can see and read and sympathize because they have experienced hell. And what gets me is that, myself personally, is that they hold on not to the shirt tail, not to the coat tail. They hold on to those people dearly. It never seemed like they have tried to disconnect themselves from them and connect themselves to themselves. And we must rewind Malcolm Shabazz, Malcolm X, and listen to the reasons behind segregation, and listen to what he has to say in regards to us, or the African Americans, doing for self. And if we were to assess and evaluate from that time to this time, then you see that there haven't been what one should call any form of progression. Because you would have to understand what we're talking about when we mean progression. So you have to go back to understand and recognize where African Americans were at and how did they get to whatever level. Because the playing field has never been level. So we will have to really surmise something and say, well, all right, let me say, well, 1661, 62, 63, or 64, X hundreds of thousands or million understood freedom. Free. Give and take never 3 to 5 years, they understood somewhat what freedom actually means to them. At the same time, what facilities, what resources were they able to accumulate or were they given? Because they're slaves. They don't have assets. All them have is themselves. And what was on their shoulders and their legs. The women who had children, one would have to feel dearly for them because many of them have never, ever knew their children. Qualify. They gave birth to them and that was it. Many. So you have to really say to yourself, wait a minute, when we're assessing and evaluating this, we have to look at families being dispatched and disposed, or peoples, you don't even know, you can't use even the word family, potential families, but breeding stock. So it's a serious thing. So how do we transition? How do we evaluate our progression? We don't. We do this by our individual selves. We got a job, make some money. We try to get some assets. And the sweetest thing is to have a car. Then the ones that don't have a car have a whole heap of jewelry. And it looks like we have accomplished or achieved something. and we're being set upon, and we're being influenced by, because these things didn't just happen spontaneously. So the whole African slave and children of the slave, it needs to be examined, just like I'm saying about the source of science. We need to revisit, analyze, assess and evaluate for ourselves. We will not mature. And if we let others do it for us, they're making themselves look like they've been always offering, taking care and mending, and not attempting mending our social disparities. Like the way they write history. We're not there. Like the way they do human science. We're apes and they're humans. We evolve and germinated through a species, but they did not. So you're trying to understand what level of racism, or what we understand to be called racism, where did it come from? How did it get here? How does it manifest itself? Right there. And then they have laws, constitutional laws, human rights laws that have them above, and everything else that don't look like them, especially the African, is not subservient, it's not servitude, it just doesn't count. So why the hell does black people feel that is a good thing to be in plain amusement for Europeans? We must be sick. But it's the theological education. Honor your masters. Not so much your mother and father. That your days be long in the land which the Lord thy God giveth. No, it's honor your master. Be hospitable. Look at these words. We were taught them. Not respect yourselves. Respect others. See? See the figment? See how it works? See that I encroach on a thing that we get to understand, core psychology? How did my grandmother get there? How did my great-great-grandmother get there? How did my grandfather got there? He couldn't have. They don't know a damn thing about the English. And then I have no access to knowing and breaking down, because what were they pronouncing? What were they able to read? Please, let's think. And don't bring Frederick Douglass in the picture. Yeah, deal with an evolution of time. And then you want to find out, not criticizing and ridiculing, how the hell did he get up that far to be able to have on a suit? Huh? Yeah. And shoes. Now, he wasn't a free African that came into the United States, or whatever it was called. He's a child of the slave. So you see, returning and looking and using our own sensibility and our own creative thinking, critical thinking, creative thinking, to analyze, question, and question. So where's these symposiums? Where are these Harvard intellects? Where are they? Where's the Barack Obama? Re-looking at the plight of the African in America, let alone the diaspora. So we just exist, and we love our captive bosses. We're fascinated by their accomplishments. And then we're fascinated by the theological experiences that they put towards us for us to take them as our gods, as our God and Creator. This is deep symbolism. But because we are sleeping, we have been sleeping in the 21st century, 2020 and moving, a lot of people think it's bullshit, what I'm saying. And then you ask that same persons and all those persons, will you say, define yourself as free? Now them start thinking. Now they want to ask logically, what do you mean by free? No, don't ask me. Ask yourself. Question yourself. Question your conscience. Question your spirit. Question your soul. And while you're doing all this questioning, keep going deep into yourself. Don't talk. Go into yourself. And you hear your grandparents, right up to your parents. You hear them. And when you go to your dictionaries for the definition, then ask yourself, have you ever experienced any of those definitions? Now you've answered your conscience. You've answered your soul. Then my next question is, have you experienced life yet? Because then I'm going to ask, what is it? What does it taste like? How do you identify it? Because what we are fascinated by is what we're seeing of another set of people. And we're trying to get close to their reality. Because we don't know what it is to be free. See, the terrain that we're in is not our own. That's one. Even the terrain in the Caribbean is not our own. That's two. And the language is not our own. And our names is not our own. Wow! How much more brain surgery, should I go? How far should I go? But we've been there with Malachi Shabazz, Malcolm X. We've been there with him. Or some people were fascinated by the way in which he tell it. So you didn't go there with him and didn't understand, and you didn't try to digest, check, analyze, recheck, critically analyze, check, and evaluate, and not assume. Hey, there's nothing to assume. You didn't need to be a university graduate to go through all those processes. You just need to give ourselves time to reflect, to inquire within our own circumference. Because if we inquire to the European, he will satisfy, they will satisfy what it is that they deem we're searching for. So they will massage what we call our emotions, our egos, and our suspicion, which is more of symbolic gestures, dealing with analysis. And then psychology plays a big part of the way in which they project things, and ways in which they analyze and critically analyze who is speaking to them or they are speaking to. So they're a level that we're not matured at. Even though we can call the names and we can hear, we're never able, and we don't deem it necessary to apply any of those things, because it's insignificant to us, really. But we would engage as pragmatists. We would engage. And we will use some symbolic gestures and analytical gestures and intellectual alleged descriptions, not to be made to look inadequate. Doesn't mean necessary that we bloody well understand anything that they're dealing with and what position they're coming from, what stance they're coming from. Remember, they're in the driving seat. We're trying to get on a level playing field. So if they're in the driving seat, they already got the road. You understand? They've got the roads. They've got all the amenities to be on the road and to have the vehicle. We ain't got that. So we're in the make-believe thing, because we don't want to be looking ignorant and stupid, but we are, because they're making us that way. We're still trying to catch up and be a friend and to assimilate. But we're assimilating easily because we have names that's not ours. We just graduate because we don't make an X. We use the name that is being given to us. And please don't go saying, oh, nah, I call my child Orville. Yeah, but, what about Bess? Who's Bess? You understand? So we've learned how to write that. And we've learned how to sign. But while we're trying to rip statues down, and some of us look, we find that we are that individual, we are descendant of that individual. We say, what? Nah, can't be. And somebody says, yeah, it's not can't be, you are. I impregnate your grandmother, but it's not him. Him father, rare, and so forth, and here comes you now. And the name that you carry, your surname, is their name. Oh, man. So you have a lot of us that is frightened. They want to do DNA, but they hear somebody that say, well, X percentage of their DNA belong to some European set. And others are saying, to hell with that shit, I'm not doing that, man. I'm African. I'm a Negro. I'm 100%. Look at me, man. I'm like tar, man. So, for some people, it's damn you do and damn you don't. And the most authentic ones are the ones who've done this DNA. So, we deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I don't know what the DNA would do, but it alleged to tell a people, not that you're an African, not that you're Caucasian, but you sprung out of X person or peoples. But I know my father and the father of mankind It's called Adam. So if the DNA can tell me about Adam, I'm inclined to say, yeah, go on, boy, go do your things. But guess what? Adam was fashioned from earth. That's why Adam is important to us. Not because he's fashioned from earth, but that's the origin of human beings. He was fashioned from earth by the Creator. And he was given, if you accept the allegory, if you accept, you see, so, and he was breathed into and given what we call life. So we understand the formation. Nothing to do with a woman and a man. Nothing to do with sperm and an egg and clinging clots. No. The first. But it also just happened to be that that earth, that dirt, that muck was black. That's not what they say. This is what scriptures, if we accept or not. Not to be racist, just to make it clear. How clear? That we weren't fashioned by sperm. It was God fashioned man, molded man, like a potter. And then gave man a spirit that eventually we call life. And then taught man and watched man develop. That's what God did. So you see, racism is for people who dismiss God. Dismiss God. Don't like how God originate things. And they are now superseding themselves above that. Check them out carefully. Everything in creation, most everything in creation, they try to reconfigure. So we have genetic, changing of species, implanting, not liking their beauty, transforming their beauty. You know. How can a person dislike what they look like and decide to redesign what them look like, then to say they're happy about the design that they have chosen? That's an ungrateful person. And then have the cheek to look in a mirror and say, "Me not like what I see. So I want to change this. I don't want a nose like that. I don't want eyes like that. Furthermore, I don't like the bloody skin." You see the problem? So this racism thing's deep. But because we're wrapped up in theological training, we don't escape because we're in love with the architects of that. And we don't see ourselves. We don't see ourselves as valuable. We're just play and amusement. And we got to stop fooling ourselves. We have to. It's a serious thing. Psychology, sociology, physiology. Serious. But without those titles, injustice is serious. It's serious. How would you want to be treated? With dignity. Is that a word? Yes. What does it amplify? Respect me. What does that do? Oh, be kind to me. What is that one? Kind. Better not say kind-hearted. So we have to define all that we have learned from them to get the best out of that for within ourselves. That's why we come up short. Because not knowing the definitions, we still apply the correct definition when it's to our tutor or tutors. We honor them beyond and in the right manner, but dishonor ourselves. Because we give credit to what we found to be responsible for where we're at. And we discredit ourselves because we see ourselves as not being capable. And there's none like unto them that is projecting and showing us anything. Did you understand all I just said? Nah. See? Because why? We don't speak to ourselves. We don't speak to ourselves. And even when we read our books, we don't read the book as it is. The training that we get, we remember and gurgitate that which they request of us, and most of us is all employed by the same institution. So you're not going to go against your boss. And with Vernon Johns, who did? The institution of the African American of the day removed him and replaced him with Martin Luther King Jr. Vernon Johns was a builder. He was an architect. He wanted self-building for black people. And he want to keep begging, begging, begging. He did not want to keep begging. He did not keep begging. He didn't want to beg. He said, there's land, let's use that land. Here's us, God give us sense. Let's use our senses. To do what? How to do that? Engage with communicating among ourselves and look at the things that we need and find those things within ourselves. We have the ability just like other human beings. But that was too radical, they said. Nah, their bosses told the administration of those churches that we're not going to tolerate that, so they have to do something. So what did they do? Remove Vernon. And what did Vernon start with? Giving us our agriculture farms, giving us our clothes, giving us our food, making us independent, giving us our food. Where? He didn't put it inside the institution called church, he put it outside. So when people attend the church, the stores are there. When they leave the church, they will purchase and take the items and go home and cook. And those who see rightness will join him and others and use the land that's around the houses that they have and grow what they eat and eat what you grow, what they grew. And that's a slogan all across the Caribbean right now, set up, come out, perhaps we can say by Muta Baruka. Eat what you grow what you eat. Simple. But what happened? They rebuffed that man, shut him down, and brought someone that didn't have a vision, but wanted to discuss with the opposition how they're hurting us. And the opposition want to know, how do we know that? And it goes on and on and on and on and on. This is what we learn from statutory education. This is what we learn from statutory employment. This is in the horse's mouth. This is right in the abdomen of the people. Not being farted upon, but being part and parcel of that institution. And we can frustrate you for years and make you feel that we're complying with you. We grieve for you. And we ain't changing a damn thing. Fear speech and no doings. And that's what happens. That's what's been happening to us. Because we don't trust ourselves. We don't see ourselves as anything. We see them as masters. Can't you see how bad it is that we get killed and nothing happens? Yeah, something happens. We bury our loved ones. That's what happens. That's all that happens. Who gets charged for killing us? No one. So it would appear to us that we ain't valuable. Do we say it loud? No. Do we stand up in a court and say to the judge that it was the life of my child, my mother, my father that was taken, and we want some justice? Seems like we wouldn't dare, because we haven't. We haven't. Our brethren, Sir Collins, have gone, and other families, and still ain't got justice for New Cross. We're none the wiser. And the survivors that are scarred for life is none the wiser. What happened? So the system looks at us and said, they'll get over it. We don't strike. We demonstrate, but why is we demonstrating? Where's the next action? So we don't strike. We don't cooperate across ministries and say, listen, there's so much of us, let's do this, let's do that, let's put some pressure on the charitable commissioners, etc., all the way through. No, they don't do that. But guess what? When you go into one of the Church of England, the Methodists, all these people, and they do their buggeries and all sorts of stuff, don't you see how they all draw together and lock the shit down, and no inquiries, no investigation, and everyone knows outside of them that these children and whoever is being brutalized, mutilated, and they just come together and boom, and lock it down tight. And have the cheek to send me off to some place like Malaysia, Indonesia, somewhere, put me out of the way and everything else, and the media shuts down, and that's that. Because they're powerful. How comes our ministers don't use that same blasted power and turn it the other way around to do a good? To do a good. Is it that the money's so sweet? So if it's God that you fear, and you know that you're not living and seeing God here, but God is what you fear, and the soul that resides within all of us is from God. And when that soul leaves the body, it's going back to its creator. Only if you could think like that, then you're saying to yourself, wow, the creator knows exactly what I've done and what I've been doing. In my resurrection, I'm answerable to the creator. Wow. Can I erase all of my frailties? Get your son, get your daughter, get some smart asses and ask them, how do you erase this shit from the computer? And they tell you, yeah, we can from your face, but it's on the hard drive still. It's there forever. You're lying. No. I can bring up everything that was on this computer from the day it was created. It was developed, it was made, it was come out the manufacturers and all the users of it. And all that stuff that you said that you got deleted is just out of your sight. It's still there. I can bring it back in real time. Intellectual Back to the Future. Now you start thinking, worries now, shit. So you mean, hey, well, I think I kind of like made a mistake. What mistake is that? some porn came up and shit, man. I mean, I didn't do it, man. I mean, you know, the person that come up there kind of looked pretty and shit. And what did you do? Oh, that's the thing I asked you to delete. Because I couldn't let the wife go touch the computer and this thing pop up in her face, man. But I'm telling you, it's not gone. So you mean it's liable to come? Yeah. So here comes me now. That's the same thing's going to happen to Almighty God. Down to our fingertips, it's going to testify against us. How we treated it, the finger. How we treat our toe. Everything. Right. Oh, you Muslims, you lot. Said, so, when you read the Revelation, don't you read that the soul of man is going to testify to the Almighty? Yeah, but it doesn't mean us. It means the wicked people. It said, where did it say the wicked people? The soul of the wicked people would be revealed to the Almighty. It doesn't. It said the soul of the humans. Oh, damn. Now you're worried. See? So that's why I do what I do in swings and roundabouts, because some people just don't really want to pay attention to that which they have. They're dramatists, and they just don't feel comfortable critically thinking and analyzing and questioning anybody, for that matter, about their faith. And we all need a faith, trust. All human beings. Some just exploit it. Others just follow blindly. And others are still searching. And really and truly, we all are searching. None of us have got this 100% realization. That's why Al-Islam gives you the opportunity to examine, question, re-question, not the Prophet, but Allah. But Allah. And look at the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Look at the signs of nature. Look at them. Scrutinize them like a scientist, what we call a scientist. Islam embraced science because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that once we look at his signs, we are scientists. But he didn't say look at the signs and change the signs, or try to change the signs, or try to change nature. He said that would bring you closer and closer to me. So who did such? Moses. Who else? Yusuf. So we are going to break, and I will come back with Musa.
Blood gonna run, run, run. Blood gonna run, run. Blood gonna run, run, run. Blood gonna run, run. Blood gonna run, run, run. Blood gonna run, run. Blood gonna run, run, run. Blood gonna run, run. If the rich man don't try to help the poor man, blood gonna run like River Jordan. Blood gonna run, run, run. If the rich woman don't try to help the poor woman, blood gonna run like River Jordan. blood gonna run, run. Blood gonna run, run, run. Blood gonna run, run. If the poor man have a kink on his shoulder, the rich man try to steal it and kill it. That's why blood gonna run, run, run. Run, 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 run. One day, blood gonna run all over this world. Oh yeah. Blood gonna run in America. Blood gonna run in Jamaica. Blood gonna run all over in London. If the rich man don't try to help us, if the rich man don't try to help us, blood gonna run, run, run. Blood gonna run, run. Black man blood gonna run, run, run. White man blood gonna run. Every nation, every nation. Blood gonna run, run, run. Blood gonna run, run. I can read it in prophecy. Blood gonna run one day. The poor man need a helping hand. The poor lady need it. The rich man have it and don't want to give it up. Blood gonna run, run. Blood gonna roll like River Jordan. Blood gonna run, run. The poor man need help. The poor man need help. The rich woman have everything. The poor woman have nothing. Give to the poor, please, oh yes. Give to the poor. Give to the poor. Blood gonna run, run. Blood gonna run, run, run. If the rich man don't try to help the poor man, if the rich woman don't try to help the poor woman, if the rich children don't try to help the poor children, blood gonna run, run, run. Blood gonna run, run. Blood gonna run in Jamaica. Blood gonna run in London. Blood gonna run, run. Blood gonna run, run, run.
Yeah, that's every time saying, you know, don't get frightened, you know. And that's it. Oh, blood I run.
Zion, how we want to go.
there. I love them tune there. When you meditate and, you know, you go through your herbal rites, you know? Yeah, them tune there. Send you on a journey, you see? Yeah, back in the day, man. Send you on a journey. Now, without the spiritual herb, no, you can still go on that journey, you know. You better know. Yes, so we are dealing with traveling now. We are dealing with some traveling. So hold on to what you got. Easy, bright light, spot it, but you understand? Just don't put it in my eye. You know saying? Oh, gosh, man. So we are traveling now, yeah? Believers traveling. So, Moses in the court with Pharaoh. Musa alayhi salam is in the court with Pharaoh. So, in this, and it's in your scripture too, in this you find that there was a mighty man of old. There's a mighty man of old in the presence. But really it says mighty men of old in their arrogance plotted against Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's truth, but were brought low. And a humble believer in Pharaoh's court stood up for truth. Now listen to this individual, because when y'all read your scripture, he's there. But because it would appear that pastors and the practitioners don't like the moral guide, don't like the true guide, they like the mysteries. They like the mysteries. And anything that would point to righteousness and ease of a people, them put it and twist it in mythologies. So that means it would take someone else to come and unravel what they made us feel is a mystery. And you hear this saying by peoples that God does things or work in a mysterious way. Which God is that? What, is that your friend? Which experience of God anyone can say was in a mysterious way? See? So it become a commonplace, and people just say that God the Almighty does things in a mysterious way. When I change when I'm out. Seriously. Which God did that? That means that God is like a human being. So ever how him feel, he feels this God. Them subject of mine, let's give them some swings and let's put them in a maze and see how they handle that. And if they get out, oh gosh, man, we need to put them back into something else, because they shouldn't be like me. They shouldn't be that smart. Stop it. So this individual, this humble believer, stood up in the court, in Pharaoh's court, and counseled the people to obey the right that their ancestors were following and desist from this new way. For there's no ease coming from God with it. It's a wrong. So ask the people to obey what is right. In earnest humility, they heard him not. But Allah, God Almighty, saved him. And they were engulfed in the wrath of Allah. And you know what that is, because Pharaoh, after telling Musa and the people that them can go. After a short while, him get angry, him see himself very lonely. He have nobody to battle with. But he was also consumed by one of his own. And this is not the first time, this was the last time. Because previous times, he told them, if they continue, he deems that they've plotted and planned with Moses. So, I'm going to cut your hand off on one side and your foot off on the other side. But they were brave enough to say, no matter what you do, we will not follow you. We're here to the God of Moses, that Moses are hearing to. And some says that we will adhere to what we know. So like me now, I say, here what happened? Black people. The kingdom of Egypt were supported by God Almighty. And they were given insight and raised with great knowledge because they pursued righteousness, rightness. But then they got full of themselves. Some of them. Not all of them. Some of the leaders. But most particularly, this one here in Moses' time. And he mashed up the place. Because all the plagues and everything that befall them, he brought unto the people. God never brought it unto the people. Of him arrogance and his empty plots. Brought these things unto them. Anyhow, he decided to tell his armed forces, gather up and strap up. And he might go after the people them. And from his distance, he couldn't see, but they were moving at speed. And he knew that if he catch up to them, water would be at their front. So he felt elated that he would catch them. He had no reason to believe that the water was going to open up. He had no reason to believe it because all the things that happened before, he disbelieved them, even though they happened in front of him. The positive things and the negative things. The negative things he brought about by the words he used, and then he's calling Musa to say, listen, tell your God such and such and such. And he lied time after time. So he got to a stage where he could witness, he could see the peoples. And he felt that he can apprehend them. Not recognizing or paying close attention to the fact that the waters have opened up. With his hard heart and his blind evil, he hates through and his peoples. And when he got to a particular space, the water started to collapse, to merge. Now he's pleading. Who is pleading to? Not to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. See, that's why, you always should be reading the Quran. I tell you, Quran don't deal with these blind mysteries and mysticisms and these fandangles. He calls out to Musa and not to Allah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us to know that if only, if he did call upon me, for I'm most gracious and I'm most merciful, of forgiving, most merciful. But he called upon Moses. He called upon Moses. Oh, Moses, I would adhere to your God. So Allah makes it clear to us, if only he called upon me and not Moses, but within his rage, within his rage. And then he's pleading for their life. He's asking. He's then saying that your God, O Moses, is most powerful, and confessing his wrongs. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then make him to know. Then make him to know of all the wrongs you've done. I will preserve thee for future generations. Astaghfirullah. That's what he got. So we remind ourselves and others in this earth about that life. And we implore on peoples to visit, not Tutankhamun, and not to say that Tutankhamun is not worthy of visiting or seeing, but to visit that Pharaoh and look at his body. Look at how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is retained him all of these thousands of years till now. Come on, scientifically examine Quran. Stop dealing with your mysteries and mysticisms. Examine it. Some of our Muslim scholars, for Western people, are guilty of not calling you all. But some of you all are so stubborn, that's why they probably behave like that, because the Muslims have been telling the world for centuries. And you know he exists. And you know that this is not a story, this is an historical reference. You know it's an allegory of truth. It's not an allegory of mysteries and mysticisms. You know it doesn't come with murky water. It's very clear. You know that it's 1000% pure proof. You know that. I've watched in the last 7 days a European historian, scientist, doctor that is spent most of his time examining the life of our Prophet and examining the Quran and the advent of the Quran to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this man reads classical Fusa Arabic, that when he's reciting the Quran, you could see the depth within him He has a love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and a love for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And now he's in Germany, even with his COVID, helping their top scientists and their top physicians and pointing them that you cannot mysticize the Quran. You can't look for the Quran the way you look at the Bible. The Quran deals with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving to Muhammad. The Quran ain't dealing with Antioch. The Quran ain't dealing with London, Mecca, and all these different set of people. The Quran deal with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has revealed. So he declared that this is the truth. It's not man manufactured. And he's not the only one, but he touched me because he's age, but you can see him crying. He has such a love for the Quran. He tells you straight. The Quran is the way of life for mankind. The Quran is based on morals. Quran is based on truth. And when you must examine economics, financial exchange, that's the way we should be. And this is a Caucasian. Wow. What happened to black people? What happened to us in the diaspora? Give credit where credit is due. And you don't have to read Arabic. You can read the English. All I'm trying to project here is what truth has been and to remove mysteries and mysticisms. And I've used George to show that the world has saw the light of truth and the world has saw hostility and brutality. And the world has saw that black people are dignified people. We are human beings. We have soul. We do good. We're humble and noble people. That's what he's seen. So we should all try to hear and witness how this court that only sees themselves dealing with themselves and feel ashamed of themselves and would want to use the law to make themselves look not too bad, but make George and the rest of us look idiotic because they can massage the law. They can even rewrite the law due to conditions and circumstances. Wow, because that person, you see that video that everybody saw, that was not illegal. Hey, you can hear them, can't you? So, simplicity to the brutality is what we've witnessed with Pharaoh and his army trying to apprehend and destroy a people that he just told, you're free to go. See that word free again? Free to go. So he came there with a complicit act of brutality. That was his intention. It was ill-prepared. Even though he had all the muscle and the power. But what stood before him? Not Moses, the criterion. What is this criterion? The commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we have today called Al-Quran. Yes. What's the criterion? The principles, all the principles of right against wrong, of good against evil. Huh? And what does it dislike? Oppression. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hates oppression. Gulman, hates it. And that's not the word that's used really, but he despises all form of oppression. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala call the believers the Ab of Allah. And modern idiotic people want to say, oh, you accept being slaves, you got slaves, you got slaves, you got slaves. Yeah, I'm a righteous slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is that righteous slave? I'm in obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I adhere to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's what it is. That's what it is. You submit your soul. Willingly or unwillingly, your soul belongs to Allah. So shouldn't it not be good to just submit it willingly or attempt to? That's the Muslim for you. No one else. So where does this take us now, the people? Where does this revelation, where does this mystery, where does this regurgitating take us? To know that it's not a fallacy, and to know that mercy is with God Almighty. It's not a figment of our illusion. It's not a mystic confusion. But do we look at ourselves? Do we examine ourselves? Or we're trying to be like Caucasians? We're trying to be like some other people, feeling that somehow if we catch up with them, we're all right. Do we understand freedom? Do we understand prosperity? Sometimes I used to think that all that meant was that, you know, we learn and pass as much certificates, get as much certificate as possible, and we're up there. And my mother says that you can have that most of the people on the earth are intelligent fools. And it was like, but how can you be intelligent and a fool? She said, very easy. They're just foolish. They have no sense. They know everything, they can pass every exam, but they can't relate to people. They don't know what truth is. Even the things that they read and they pass, they don't have no understanding of it, but they're just good at passing. I said, but they had to learn the thing. So where's their senses then? And she said, you have ignorant fools. And they're the very people that we put our life in their hands. They take our lives in their hands. We don't put it there. They say they're ruling. Wow. And we used to have so much discourse about these things, and she just always come back with that simplicity. And then one of her sweetest ones is that a fool can't fool a fool. Yeah, man, a fool can't fool a fool. So I said, well, which one's a fool? They both are fools. Yeah? But they don't fool each other. That's why they agree to do wrong with each other. She said, Lord have mercy. She said, look, they don't oppose each other, no. They agree to disagree. I said, what? She said they agree to disagree. They agree with each other. They make things look like, and it's fair seeming. That word you find in the book called fair seeming, that's what that is. And that time, Mom is not sitting down. We're having a discussion. You know. Mom is working. Mom is sewing. She's not putting that needle in her hand. She's not stopped for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. She is concentrated on what she's doing and still concentrated on what she's explaining to me. Wow. Yeah, you know what I mean? So that's mothers. And that's people who is trying to, who have lived and question themselves and now trying to train their children who is questioning things. That's what we need to be doing. Not because that's my mother. That's what we need to be doing. That's how we train. That's how we inform. Not we just follow, and then you ask yourself, who or what am I following? And it's for black people, African people. We follow and enact and are inspired by other than ourselves. So are we lost souls? No. We don't tap into our souls. We don't measure ourselves. We don't value ourselves. We don't have worth. That's disrespectful, isn't it? To say that we are people don't have worth. Examine. We have worth of someone else and other people. So, Muslims, we bow down, we kneel down. Christians do too. But do they prostrate? They refuse. They were told not to. If you do, you're looking like a Muslim. So don't. And if you do, you should be looking like a Catholic. They do a lot of things similar to us, except their behaviors. And they take the symbol of Becca and put in the center of a hall of worship and then lie flat around it. Why? Because the first center was by Adam and Hawa and their children. And wherever man accumulated on this earth, they always built or had some stones as Becca. And it became a full institution with Ishmael alayhi salam and Abraham alayhi salam. They gave rise to Becca and built, not laid stones, but built something. So due to the evolution of understanding, realization, and mathematics, they constructed something that today we know Becca to be Al-Kaaba. I put that out there for some other peoples who are trying to say that this is one of the lost temples of Solomon. And some Arab person had a great brain and concocted this whole thing, and our prophet was part of the whole thing, and just and Becca, that became the Kaaba, was the center of financial gatherings, like the stock exchange. But it was used by the Jahiliyyahs, by the people who oppress Islam. And they welcome all comers And some of those people bought their deities or statues or whatever they had. But the seed of Ishmael alayhi salam rose up, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent Muhammad. And it was cleansed. Why am I doing this? If we cleanse ourselves as children of the slaves from all that we have been programmed with, and give ourselves the opportunity to be naked and return to the continent to which our foreparents come from, salvation is at hand. That's it. Simple as. But those who want dunya and satisfy themselves just living and dying, they would not see that there's any need. But when they reach a certain age, then they start thinking, well, I should have tried that. And that's where we have a problem. And that's the weakness of human beings, not just one set of people. But like me, I think I owe it to my ancestors to get my body, my soul, reconnected with the likes of them on that continent. It's a human evolutional trod. And then if you buy into the spirituality, the whole thing, that's it. That's what our souls require. It's the missing link to a human salvation. It's the missing link to a true happiness. Every other happiness is borrowed, is make. It's a make-believe situation. The more money you have and you have this possession and this possession, that's meant to be our accomplishment of happiness. No, it's not. It's artificial. It's artificial. Everybody has to have food, clothing, and shelter and so forth. But if that's what's supposed to make us happy, then it's artificial, because it doesn't. It's God that makes us happy. It's God that compliments us. When last were we in tune? That's taking the thing out of mysteries now and take that into the reality of each and every individual own conscience. And every individual own reflectiveness. Because that's what we are. I'm not your teacher. I'm instructing. And I'm trying to be instructive, and I'm trying to be like a teacher, but I'm not here to take people or anyone, should anyone take anyone to say, hey, here what you open up salvation for me now. We open up salvation for ourselves based on truths. And my truth and your truth can be the same truth. So help us, God. Because I'm not going to give you what I call my truth, and you give me what you call your truth. How's that possible? And you're saying all these things somebody's saying. All I'm doing is stimulate. I'm stimulating. If someone else called me now and do the same for me, I'm getting the same stimulus. That's what we are. We're reactive beings. And we're inspired beings. Humans. And now we, as black people, children of the slave, we need it more than anyone else. Because we weren't set free. To be set free meant they should have taken our ancestors back to where they take them from. If a person drop me off in the sky and tell me I'm free. Free to do what? Fall on the earth? It's just taken me and create a new illusion in my head and my being and tell me, say, that is where I'm from. And don't treat me with any form of humility. And he knows very well that that's not my language, the one that he have. He knows well that's not my name, it's his name. He knows that my character and my psychology is based on his premise. He knows that he's not stupid. So when we've come of age, learning in his institutions that that's psychology and so forth, then why the hell are we not saying, here what happened? Thank you very much for your stay, but I want to go home. We ain't doing that. We haven't done that. And all you people are reading and have read the story of Moses. The adventure of Moses and Egypt. So we want to go home. We want to be made free. So that a lot of us can say, free at last. Oh, God Almighty, free at last. We can say that. Not for a joke. For being real. And all this damage that's been done to our psychology, to our minds, you know, the abuse, being victim of society, racial, this and that. We wouldn't have to be experiencing all that stuff. Look at all that. That's a life. That's a person's psychology. That's the life ruin. The thought of all these ills. And to beg the people who have this to give us some freedom, to remove these ills from us. What kind of life is that? What kind of happiness is that? How can you then be happy in each way? No matter how much money you have. So this plain amusement is the only thing that satisfies at the end of every event. Without the plain amusement, we'll be mad people. And we still are mad, but we'll be mentally instituted mad. Lost in our morals, lost in our sanity. That's why mommy can say, a fool can't fool a fool. So you think about it and don't get hung up and say, man is always teaching something and then bringing this thing in there. Because are we not wise? Are we not sensible? Do we not have sensibility? Should we accept to be mistreated, ill-treated till we die? It has been very easy to be manipulated, and everyone can see it. How is that the black man in the West has been able and is able and are doing it to mistreat our women? How is it possible? And we expect the opposition to reprogram our consciousness and our moral faculties to say what you're doing is wrong. When we're being lusted by him and following him and want to be like him and want to have all the material alleged wealth that they have also, but we're having fun, allegedly having fun. So once you damage that precious wound, what culture, what existence, what dignity, what humanity are we going to have left? Someone tell us. Are we so right? It's a passing phase. Really? So, if it's such a passing phase, tell Prince Charles, make him children then behave like that and have a couple of skin out dance and everything for 6 months. And the Queen, you know what I mean, at her age and everything, come shock out. And then I can say, okay, it's open season for everyone. No, it's not. It's just open season on the children of the slaves. Across the diasporas. Because we're programmed. And we get reprogrammed, reconditioned. And it seems, it would appear that we like it just like that. Because we don't put up a resistance. And that's all is required. They said, enough of that, man. Enough of it. And move on to something else. And that something is to make the attempt, and it's an attempt, to go home. It's a new experience. It will take a long time, but at least we're leaving, we're developed a foundation for the children. Some of them will rise to it. Some wouldn't. But in time, they will rise to it. Because we ain't going to be here long with them. We're not going to be here forever with them. But if we don't plant the seed or sow the seed, we're guilty. And that's what we're not good at. Accepting responsibilities. We're not good at that. So we're our own faults. Listen, we're self-hypocrites. Don't listen to a Farrakhan try to say that this person, that person is the hypocrite. We are self-hypocrites. Because many of us, we know right from wrong. Yet still, we refuse to do that which is right. So who's doing it to us? Yeah, we can be indoctrinated. If you love self, love family, love your mother, love your father, you're able to put up a serious resistance. And then put God in the equation. You see how stern and strong, not arrogant, one becomes. Why are we bowing and submitting? And then when we want to talk, we're talking economics. Because in that you hear money. We're not talking about morals and self-control and dignity. We ain't talking about reclaiming our women. We ain't talking about supporting our young future. Now, you shake this thing called economics and pretending that you do understand it. If you friggin' well did, you wouldn't be talking about it. You would have exemplified it, and it would become so fashionable among us, and we would have clocked it, and we would have the institutions to show for it. We don't have that. It's a new fact. And you dangle a carrot in front good-minded people as well as some fraudulent people's face to scam. The real people who understand that hasn't spoken. And I pray God that they're in tune to us, not on this platform, but to the best of us out there. And when they do make their move, we're still alive and able to be in tune to them. Because they're there. They just can't find the element of trust outside of themselves and their family. We don't know who to trust. And I'm saying we need to start with ourselves, trusting ourselves. Why do you think we're going that way? So now, when you look at all the things them that happen, where are we going to run to? I'm saying the only thing that's going to be left, whether we like it or not, I'm telling you, is Al-Quran, the criterion. And maybe that's what the minister has shown you. And he's done it in his symbolic fashion. Huh? And he's put the myth and the mythologies there. And you have to understand it, the cryptic message. You have to understand it. Where did this come from? The Qadianis. Huh? That's where it come from. From the teacher of a Qadiani that taught Elijah Muhammad, and Farrakhan is eloped in it. And he's too old to change. Really? All him have to do is say, La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. And leave the Ahmadiyya and the Qadiani alone. Put that book down of theirs and pick up Al-Furqan and teach Al-Furqan if you want to do something. And the only way you can do that is to pray like the Muslim means pray, whether you want to call us orthodox or not. And be sincere. To who? Allah, not to us. And don't be afraid, because the world knows about your family. Don't just use that now, swing that button to say you want them to accept, because it's too late for that. It's too late for that. Isolation and quarantining could never help you and your family. But when you spew all this stuff about worthy Muhammad and so forth, why aren't you open for criticism about your own selves? And no one is criticizing. It's just saying that you need to speak truth. And the truth is, if you're a Muslim, say La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Don't just take Islam as a slogan. And make du'as and say you're praying. Because du'a is a form of prayer, but that's not the prayer that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent the Prophet to reinstitute in this earth. You see what I said? Reinstitute, you know. Because some people want to believe that Islam just came yesterday with the Prophet. I keep trying to tell people, and the Muslims are trying to tell you, what came with the Prophet is the last revelation. Islam's always been here. Yes. So, I don't know how I got all the way up there, but environment. So, I go away now before I swell my head, you know, and get caught in the trap of inspiring people that I do know what I'm saying, or I say what I think I mean, and so on, because that's what happens. You get domicile, you know. Seriously, check it out, that word, domicile. You become like that, because your senses are in tune to your sense, and your rationale is now in tune to your external. So now you want to play, you want to bring both of them together. So in doing so, you become your own demagogue, and you feel so that, yeah, you're up there. Nah, you just humor your own self, and then try to inspire other people that you're going on a divine trot. See, that's why we love our teacher. Him give we all of that understanding of psychology and sociology, and to be good at being a critic. So you can critically analyze and be your own subject of a criticism. So when criticism reach you, you don't see it as a threat. You embrace it because it's there to help, not to hinder. But you have some people that we call assholes that just like to criticize because they can. Yeah? The most hurtful thing for human beings, right, is changes. Yeah? It's changes. But the easiest thing for human beings is suggestions. Yeah? Once you drop some suggestions in there, yeah, we're all open for it. Something new on the horizon. Yeah, we're all open for it. We love it, man. Right? So when you can fascinate a soul like that, you got them in your hand. Right? So that's why I do know these things. So don't try to tell me that I'm trying to make believe. Right? I'm old. I'm not an oldie ready to give up the ghost. But who knows when that time comes? No one knows, man. When Allah calls you, that's it. You can't refuse. You can't say, "Hey, watch out, I don't want to come, you know." Yeah, I want to play a selection and then I'm gone, right? You know, yeah. What did I call this selection? Oh yeah. I want to play this selection. I want to play a piece of this selection, and then I have my signing out thing, and God willing, when I hear it tomorrow. And tomorrow we are Upton House. Yes. Tell your friend them, you know. Tomorrow, God willing. Flinty, Ochi, tomorrow. Tippertone string up at Upton House. Right? Upton House. See? Yeah. That's where we are stringing up tomorrow. You understand? Yeah, so that session there now, Bright Lights will be here. Navigator postcode would be here. Aisha is in attendance. Yeah, when I see my daughter Aisha now in a good while. So yeah, special juices will be available to I, because I'm the one that's needing health support. But everybody go drink anyhow. Yeah, man, moringa did there, ginger did there, everything, man. So Aisha is gonna be in the house. Bright Lights definitely here, because principal need some light and where him fingers are gonna operate, and these turntables. Yeah, everything's hey, listen. I grade, yeah, man. I grade was here last week. I grade went on a mission, and alhamdulillah, high grade would be in full effect. Yeah, cause principal and high grade, they upon a sound clash in Upton House tomorrow. See it? All road leads, all Tippertone massives, and good music listeners. Yeah? Upton House, we are talk 80s and 90s selection. I tell you, miss it, you miss your life. You're saying? All right. So, that me don't tell you, you know. So, Flinty, David, Super Dan, Ochi, Richie, hey, tune in. This one is designed for Uno. You understand? This is designed for the Tippertone family. But the people, them, right? Where's that sister Doreen? Right? I'm a one. Angie! Yeah. I'm going to send you a text little more. Because everybody who tune in, you know, something you're going to learn. So hear this tune here now. Right? This is just a snippet of something I work on. Right? And then I get the finish of the thing I'm gone. Yo, Maestro, yeah, me love you still, you know. Don't worry yourself about that. And my brethren, Lydie, big up, man. Big up you and Charlie and the family. Best day about still, man. Easy. Listen lyrics.
You're feeling to yourself, you've got all the money. That's why you won't come tell me you are better than me.
See, there was only one song I played them tune there one time called El Rico, you know. And me that, you remember me? All right, here we go again.
Fighting. That can't help a human situation. Teeth and tongue, it a go tell. Teeth and tongue, it a go meet. You wake up every morning with cursing. You don't let the little children.
See, bad-minded people, you know. Now hear the shepherd. Listen.
Give thanks, O Lord God. Give thanks, O Lord.
Listen.
Be like a shepherd in this time. Be still and know thyself. Be like an angel.
Sin, you hear that, pastors? Now, man of the world, eh? Listen.
Man is so great, yeah. Can you see how great a man is? Can you see the knowledge that Jah gives so man?
You see what I mean? The knowledge that the Almighty give to man. See? And I encompass some of it. So have you and others. Listen.
Slowly. It's slowly, but it's surely. Take your time. Take your time. It's slowly, but it's surely. The road may be rough. The going may be tough. It's slowly, but.
And you see Impanero, him not frightened we. Listen.
Things we all can see, but most of us, mother and father, doesn't get it. Things we all can see, that most of us, parents, doesn't get it. We're living in a world of hatred.
See what I tell you? And racism and everything about. So the day me bring my Bible before me dead quick and everything, a lot of people be probably reaping and mourning and gnashing of teeth. Because me live the thing, me don't know it, and I mean, you know, have a show off, you know. Me don't know it already. So fraudulent, keep yourself to yourself. Friday, listen.
Every Friday night, you're back on the scene. Well, every Friday night,
See what I mean? That's what I tell you. I'm one of those persons that never backs down, man. You understand? You may think say that I'm gone. I'm not gone, you know. I just return. Because I don't back down. See? I'm my mother's child. It was impossible for me to back down. Because I'm not a punk coat. So that is for you. And you're going to get it when me ready with it. When me finish with it. It's about 12 rhythms. All about bad-minded people. This is what? Proverbs. Yeah, book of Proverbs. You see? Okay. Guidance, we're gone.
It was gonna turn one day. Wickedness will burn one day soon.
Yeah, my brethren, them up there, Bradford, Bristol, Leeds, Muffin and them, you know. This is best, man. Sometimes we must ring in, you know. You understand? Ringing or texting or something in, you know. Because I know say me elevate on the faculties. So what? When I can't compliment me, when I can't tell me something, ease off, back off, something, come on, man. Your brothers are becoming so lazy, like when a part of the system. What happened to them?
It was gonna turn one day. Wickedness will burn one day soon. One day, Jah will wipe all our sorrows away, and that is when the wicked men will have to pay. One day soon. One day, you will find that I'm no play, we are play. Any work you do, you must get your pay. One day soon. When rightfulness start praying, wickedness will have to run away. When positive start to pray, wickedness will have to drift away. One day
why we like ourselves. You understand? And it's compulsory, you know. Because we love with mothers. You see? We love with family. You understand? That not say that someone else don't, but you must think.
Seek your first in anything you ask.
But I say think.
Unto you.
Use your mind.
Could you do it for you? Honor your mother and father, that your days may be long on the land you live on. Pave the way for the children. Teach the children the truth, it will make them strong.
See?
Don't forget your culture. The culture alive, got to strive to survive. Study the words of the Father.
You know, say, a yard, you know, them say, that guy there go on something strong, you know. You see? They must say that on Best FM. You see? And can you imagine? It named Best FM, you know. You see? So, I called my mother to find out, should we just charge them for misuse or appropriate use of our thing, or should we share the royalties or the copyright? But still, you know what I mean? And now we see that principle, right, is also a center of attention. Naturally, you see? Because we are trying to do what we are do. We not follow somebody else, you see? And that's it. We're not here to please others, you see? We satisfy our souls and our consciousness, you see, and our morality, right? So if one person hear something, agree with something or disagree, we still have done something. You understand? We still have done something. Because the whole attempt is to rise the consciousness, simple things. We not come from manufacture economy, you see? And we not come here from manufacture frauds and them something there. You see? Because we are independent and we are comfortable. We are semi-independent on this station because we have to use, you know. But other than that, as a family, we are fully independent. We not bow and submit to nonsense. So allow me, leave me, and protect yourself.
Seek your first in anything you ask for, will be given unto you. Could you do it for you? Honor your mother and father, that your days may be long on the land you live on. Pave the way for the children. Teach the children the truth, it will make them strong.
Of course.
Don't forget your culture.
Never.
The culture alive, got to strive to survive. Study the words of the Father.
True.
Because in them you will find everlasting life.
True.
Give your praise every day. Get down on your knees and call out it.
You see, when me a small youth, me know from Sir Lord Power, this man here sing for them. And a man that them know as I sound youths them. See? And right now in my time, you know how much tunes they make, you know how much rhythm they make. This man he can't stop singing.
Give your praise every day. He's the one forced to drive all your sorrows away.
In name
Give
Glenn
your praise
Washington.
every day. Wicked men do not like him, but I'm not ashamed. Give your praise every day.
Go on, sir.
Yesterday and today and forever the same. Give your praise every day.
You wait till principle and I get all of you.
Mercies, give praise to his
I'm
name.
gonna go hear a
Give your
different
praise
song.
every day. Cause God's business is not to
Teach, Glenn,
You
teach.
should try to live in his perfect will. He
Teach.
commanded that thou shalt not kill, but the forces of evil abided still. And your
Teach.
brother's blood you did spill. Now the wages of sin is death, my friend. The gift of joy is life.
Man.
What you work for is what you'll be paid in the
True,
end.
true.
Save your people from heartache and strife. Now Jah commanded the sun to rule the day. The moon
Teach.
shines bright in the night. But whatever we do in the darkness and hide,
Should
is
come
bound
to
to
light.
come out in the light. So give Jah praise every day. Get down on your knees and call out his name. Give Jah praise every day.
Teach.
He's the one forced to drive all your sorrows away. Give Jah praise every day.
Man called Michael Glenn
Wicked
Washington
men do not
says,
like him, but
Hear
I'm
the
not
name?
ashamed.
Washington.
Give Jah praise every day. Yesterday and forever the same.
Big up.
Ooh, na, na. Father.
I use
Because
it.
in them you will find everlasting life. Give your praise every day. Get down on your knees and call out his name. Give your praise every day.
Congo Jet.
He's the one forced to drive all your sorrows away. Give your praise every day.
Bobo Jet.
Wicked men do not like him, but I'm not ashamed. Give your praise every day. Yesterday and today and forever the same. Give your praise every day. For his blessings and mercies we praise his name. Give your praise every day. Cause God business is not the game. No, give your praise every day. Get down on your knees and call out his name.
Man, Cardigan Washington says, man, pray every day. I tell you. Listen.
From you born in the ghetto, there's certain environments you've got to go through. From you born in the ghetto, there's certain environments you've got to go through. Like Bunker Factory, like Bunker Factory, Tim Bim, and then you school from school. And raise your Buddhas, then hardly anyone can until it's too late. Whoa. Then some die by their guns, some by the blades, some make it through, yeah. Some seems to fade, yes, they fade away. Then some die by their guns, whoa. Some by the blades, some make it through, yeah. Some seems to fade, yes, they fade away. Good God. From you born in the ghetto, there's certain environments you've got to go through. From you born in the ghetto, there's certain environments you've got to go through. Like Bunker Factory, like Bunker Factory, and then you school from school. Me say go right for your skin and raise your Buddhas, then hardly anyone until it's too late. Then some die by their gun, some by the blade, some make it through, yeah. Some seems to fade, yes, they fade away.
Yes, request a man called Mr. Saunders, Val Saunders. family, sir. And Mr. Milton Innery. And Mr. Roland Alfonso's family. And the Cultured Roots family. I'm still here, man. I'm still here. I'm still here. Best is still here. No doubt we'll be in contact. God willing. And everybody is in good health. God willing. Juki Jam.
Then some die by their guns, whoa. Some by the blade.
Nice, isn't it? Cultured Root Selection. Beautiful. Yeah, Cultured Roots.
He's a lucky thing I never get, sweet lady. He's a lucky thing I never get, sweet lady.
I would
And
have
started
to run.
I will never run away.
Do you hear?
And started to run. I will never run away. Do you hear? Never run away. Never run away.
Sing.
They on them that state high. They would have feel so nice. They on them that fight against high. You should see them rejoice until I to run. I will never run away.
Do you hear?
Run, I will never run away.
Have you heard?
Never run away. Never run away. I will never run away.
What a sound sweetie. 1974 rhythms them relevant. You see what I mean? Guidance. Emmanuel Brown. I'm in my corner, see it? In my corner. No begging, no begging.
It is better to give than to receive. Yes, we won't be falling short like Adam and Eve. No, Giants.
Did you hear that? It's better to give than to receive. You won't fall short like Adam and Eve. You seen? And this is Dennis Emmanuel Brown. Rasta youth, listen.
It is better to give than to receive. Yes, we won't be falling short like Adam and Eve. No, Jah is on my side. He's my only guide through wintry nights and stormy days. Oh, what a plight! Stay in my corner. If you really wanna live forever, yeah, stay in my corner. If you wanna live forever, oh Lord, remember when you dig that pit yesterday? Oh now, might as well you did too. Hey, for time is the master. Why envy your brother? When they came upon me to eat all my flesh, didn't they fall? Stay in my corner. If you really wanna live forever, whoa, stay in my corner. If you really wanna live forever, whoa, Lord, stay in my corner. If you wanna live forever, hey, stay in my corner. If you wanna live forever, whoa, Lord, yeah.
Don't forget tomorrow, Upton House, tip and tone stringing up.
Whoa, Lord, yeah, now. Whoa, Lord. Yeah, GB, tell me, see, lucky days are yours. Yes. Oh, Lord, yeah. Because of your wicked ways, yes. Your wicked ways. Oppressing the poor. You know they can take no more. Jah is on my side. He is my only guide. Stay in my corner. If you really wanna live forever, stay in my corner. Stay in my corner. If you really wanna live forever, yes, stay in my corner. So your lives will be better. Yeah, stay in my corner. Chewy, if you wanna live forever. Whoa, Lord.
Don't forget, tomorrow night, Upton House, tip and tone a string up. Serious thing. You get a pattern just designed by us, you know? And this is from a sweetheart, you know, see it there. She thinks I forgot all about her. Guidance, we're gone.
Whenever you need me, just call me, yeah. Don't be afraid to call me when you're ready. Don't be afraid to say that I'm your man. Girls will try to tell you things that I don't really know about. But don't listen to what they say. I'm your man, and you are my woman. The star in the sky, know that is true. And no one can change me and you. We gonna make it. We gonna reach the top. So don't listen what they say. They only wanna change your mind, but nothing can change mine from you. I love you, girl. I'm a man of my word.
In those moments, watch God send you a little angel. He's gonna cause you to be at the right place at the right time. Worry about what you can do. Nothing else. Just do your part. And watch God meet you halfway. Do you believe that? Now I'm trying to give you some news that you can use. Is you listening? Do you hear me? Are you just sitting over there worried about it?
Whenever you need me, just call me, yeah. change your mind, but nothing can change mine from you.
forgot, our road leads to Upton House tomorrow. Tippertone in session. Get your tape machine, recorder machine, whatever you have. You understand? Historical moment. May I tell you? Historical. Yeah, may I tell you. See it? And it's early too, you know. Early. Don't bother think you're going to get a late thing. It's early. You see? Yeah, so you're being told. I hope she called me now, you know. 'Cause you see what I mean? I send a sweet request to her. But she not, yeah, I know. The message is in the lyrics. Listen. Oh, gosh, what am I do to the thing?
And in those moments, watch God send you a little angel. He's gonna cause you to be at the right place at the right time. Worry about what you can do. Nothing else. Just do your part. And watch God meet you halfway. Do you believe that? Now I'm trying to give you some news that you can use. Is you listening? Do you hear me? Are you just sitting over there worried about it?
Guidance, people.